Hey everybody, this is Strategywizard again, and today I'm going to be doing a review of Gekido bot battles. I did an unboxing a while ago, and I'm finally getting around to doing a review. So Gekido bot battles is a game that I just really was excited about just because of the way it looked, and it had that kind of a arena-style dice rolling craziness that I thought, you know, Ultimate Warriors is probably the only other thing that's really close to this that I had. And this looked unique and different enough that I really wanted to try it out. So, CMON is the publisher. We also have Spaghetti Western Games, and it's designed by Fel Barros Romulo Marques. And it's 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, although 14 and up I think is pushing it. I think younger kids can play this pretty well. I don't think you need to be quite so old. But 2 to 4 players, 45 minutes, that's probably fairly accurate depending on the number of players. But this is just, the component quality alone, just looking at the videos and screenshots, was enough to get me excited, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the gameplay is good. So let's go ahead and go down to the table and we'll see exactly how to play, and then I'll let you know what I think. So here's the general setup for 3 players. You have 3 player sheets. You can't really see this one very well, but everyone has a player sheet of the bot that they want to use. They're going to take turns placing their bots on this board that is somewhat modular. There's special abilities on each spot, and there's a little variation in how those can be put together. And you're going to fill up your health, which all these 6-sided dice, they pop up here with a 6 to show that you have that much health. That's a lot of health, but you can do a lot of damage in this game, so it'll still go pretty quickly. So this is basically how it starts. You have a deck of cards that you'll be able to get as the game proceeds. You'll have dice to roll, and everybody's also going to get tokens that will be for each other player. So for example, the Slicer player does not get one of himself, but he gets one for Overclock and one for VREX. Now, the significance of these is whenever you're attacking, you have to choose someone to target. So if I target Overclock, I have to flip this over to the loading side. That means on the next turn, I have no choice but to go after VREX. Then he'll go to loading, and then they'll flip over, and you can attack whoever you want. Which means, obviously, if there were only 2 players, you wouldn't have to worry about this. You're always attacking each other, but the more players you have, the more of these you'll have, to the point, so if it's a 4-player game, you'll have 3 tokens, and you have to alternate until you're all loading, and then they can all come back up. So it forces you, in a good way, to basically give everyone a fair shake. You're hitting everybody boom, 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 instead of constantly, you can't gang up on one person nonstop. So that's a good thing. That being said, with this setup, you're going to start off, everyone at this point is within range, because you can attack diagonally or orthogonally. So everyone's in range of each other. Let's say, for example, Slicer was over here, and let's say he went first. Slicer has to move to be in range if he's not already. In this case, if he was here, he wouldn't have to move if he didn't want to, although he could move. Here, he has no choice but to move towards one of these 2, and he'd flip over the tile to show which one he's attacking, and it'll go to the loading side. So let's say he wants to attack VREX. He can go to one of these 2 spots and attack him. Now, each spot has an ability. So, for example, this one lets you actually take 1 die and flip it to its opposite side. Fortunately, the player sheets show you what's on the opposite side of each color. So that way, you'll know, oh, a blue diamond is a triangle on the opposite side. It's for a quick reference. So being able to flip a die is really powerful in this game. You could also get +2 attack, -2 defense. Over here, you could have +2 defense, +2 defense, -2 attack. Here, which you can't start here at the beginning of the game, and this is why. Here, if you start your turn on this tile, you'll get to draw 3 cards from the deck, and you get to keep 1. But you'll have -2 defense. So it's a risky move. You have to, if you move there and you want to get those cards, you have to stay there the whole rest of the round, which means you'll be vulnerable to taking more damage. But let's just say he wants to attack VREX. So he'll flip his tile over, and he'll attack. He uses 5 dice, although there is a 6th die, but you only use that if you ever have a special ability that lets you. So you roll. Ooh, a little bit of everything we see. Now here's the deal. After you roll, this is the intense part about the game, and the real meat of your decision making. After you roll, you have a lot of options of attacks here. And they're all poker hand type things for the most part. There's 2 pairs, 3 of a kind, full house, 4 of a kind, 5 different, which, you know, and then 5 of a kind. So so you have to lock in after your first roll immediately which one of these do you want to go for, and you have to lock at least one die. Let's say in this case, I think, well, I've got a bunch of different things. Let's go for 5 different. What you cannot do is use the color of your bot as part of that 5 different. So I cannot use green, but I could lock in these 4. I could say, you know what? I think I can get 5 different. Let's go ahead and do it. So you have 2 re-rolls. You roll, already had pink, no good. Triangle, already had triangle, no good. That means I failed. If I would have gotten the yellow X, I would have succeeded. So, if you fail, you'll notice over here that there's 2 numbers, and I'll pull up another one of these so we can see a closer look. In this particular case, this guy would do 8 damage. Not everyone's a little different. For example, Slicer does 10 damage, but he does 8 if he succeeds. But if you fail, you actually malfunction and hurt yourself 4 in this particular case. He would hurt himself 5. So that's where a lot of the tension comes. Whenever you roll those dice, and that first time you have to lock it in, you're taking a chance, because the more powerful of a move that you try to pull off, the more damage you could do, but you could also hurt yourself even more. I mean, not more than you would hurt them, but the point is, the risk is greater and the reward is greater the higher you go. So you could try to do the safe thing and do a 2 pairs or 3 of a kind and increase your chances of getting a hit. Now, here's the deal. If you do 2 pairs or 3 of a kind, you get cards. If you do 2 pairs, you draw 2 cards from the deck. If you do 3 of a kind, you'll draw 1 card. So even though they're weak attacks, they are still useful because those cards can really help you later in the game. So you have to decide early on, do you want to try to do wimpy stuff so you can build up your cards, or do you want to start going for the big hits based on what you roll and how much you're willing to push your luck? Now, that being said, let's say I would have succeeded and did 10 damage to V-Rex. Well, you can't see his thing. We'll go over here. Let's say I attacked Overclock. I did 10 damage. He would lose his first 6, and then he would take 4 damage to this one, putting it down to 2. Well, his thing right here, once it's gone, it says 1 upgrade. That means he takes this die. He has 1 upgrade here called Defense. It'll actually say upgrade and what it is. So he puts the 1 side up because he got 1 upgrade. Now his defense is +1, which means anytime someone attacks him, he takes 1 less damage. So as you can see, as you get hurt in this game, you actually get better. You're more powerful, and you get different bonuses. So you kind of want to get hurt, which is ironic. In this, you wouldn't typically think so, but in this game, they make it to where getting hurt is okay, which means even if you do malfunction and fail and hurt yourself, it's not a total loss. You lose that, boom, you get 1 upgrade. Now he gets +1 attack every time, so he does more damage every time he attacks. That's huge. So getting damage in this game is... it's almost fun. You kind of look forward to getting your different bonuses. And I'll just go through, let's do Meow. As an example, he gets 1 card from the deck, and he gets +1 power after he loses his first health block. So if you get a power, you choose any one of these that has the little lightning bolt symbol behind the number, and you'll be able to use it that many times. In the case of this, you can roll an extra die on one of your attacks. You only get to use it once, but that's powerful. Here you can change 1 die into any other die. That's great if you're trying to get something really, really difficult. You can do that twice. You can flip a die to the opposite side, like this shows, for 3 times, or you can get opponent re-rolls a die, so you can make them re-roll something in case they're getting something too powerful against you, and you can get extra re-rolls. So there's a lot of different things, the different powers you can get. So in this case, you'd get 1 card and 1 power. Once you lose your next block of health, you can get another card and another power. Then you get another card, and you can recharge one of these. So let's say you use this twice, you can put it back up to 3 by giving it 2 more energy. If you ever completely expend one of these, though, you'll end up flipping it over. For example, let's just take one of these extra dice. Let's say you use the roll an extra die. It starts off at 1. Well, if you use it all the way up, which in this case it would happen automatically, anytime you use any power all the way up, you flip it over to this to show you can never get it back again. You will never be able to get an ability back that you've completely expended. But if you haven't fully expended any of these, you can recharge it here. And then +1 card, +2 powers. So whenever he's really getting close to dying, because you'll notice he actually has 6 dice. Meow only has 5, so he has less health. But by the time he's getting really close to dying, he gets an even bigger bonus to getting more powers, which means you might have that surge to push through and end up making a surprise victory. So yeah, really, it is really exciting to get hurt in this game because you want to get these different powers to boost yourself so you can do more. Now, there's armor here, which armor makes it to where in certain cases, something like maybe a card might give you a bonus. So you'll get armor and you just roll a die. And whatever it is, you put that there and that's how much armor you have. It basically is extra health. So if someone did 3 damage, they'd go to that first, then 1 damage would go to your health. Then also, each different character has a certain amount of cards they can hold in their hand. In this case, Slicer can hold 4, Overclock can hold 3, so it's different. So each character is actually, it's got a lot of differences. Their upgrade tree as they get hurt is different, how many cards they can hold might be different, and how much attack they do might be different. There's just several different things that make a difference in each character, so it does matter who you pick. Now, finally, there's these cards. This is the other main mechanic that we haven't talked about. Whenever you draw these cards, you get all kinds of different things. Red is for attackers. Green is for people who are being attacked. You cannot, if you're not actually being attacked, you cannot play any cards. And gray is kind of more fluid. Like, for example, play after an attack is declared. You can return 1 structure die to value 6, so you heal yourself. Or you can add +1 charge to 2 unlocked powers. That's huge. And like this, whenever you're attacking, you can flip any die to a blue. That's really powerful if you're trying to get one of the really intense attacks. Self-destruct. Before your bot is destroyed, immediately make a regular attack using no powers. That means that's pretty awesome because if you're if you and one other person left, you can try to knock them out possibly before you die. And flip a die to an X. Prevent 4 damage to your bot. And a lot of different things that can help you get the results you want or protect yourself. There's one really powerful one. Let me see if I can find it. It's so ridiculous. Oh, wait. If your attack command succeeds, deal 3 extra damage. That is awesome. And there's, let's see, the attacker rolls 1 fewer die on their first roll, which makes it harder for them to get a first good roll to lock in something powerful. There's just a lot of really, really good cards in here. So getting cards can it can be a make or break thing. So it's great to do it. Now, in the case of Overclock, he can only hold 3. But in the case of Meow can hold 5. So it's really important to know before you pick a character, do you want someone who can get a lot of cards to help yourself out, or do you want to go for someone who has more health, or someone who has the ability to get more defense, like in the case of Overclock? All those things matter. There's a lot of things to be thinking about in this game. But ultimately, there is player elimination, because if you knock someone's health all the way out, they're out of the game. And if you knock them out, because there are other ways you can get knocked out, like if you knock yourself out. But if Slicer, or let's say Overclock knocked out Slicer, Overclock gets to draw a card as a reward for knocking someone out. So you do want to knock people out to get that bonus, but the thing is, this game is pretty quick. So even for people who don't like player elimination, generally speaking, it's quick enough to where you're not going to be out of the game for long. Because since it forces you to keep alternating who you attack, you'll find that it balances out pretty well most of the time so that no one's just out of the game for any long period of time. But that is how to play Gekido bot battles. Let's go back up and I will tell you what I think. One thing I forgot to mention, whenever you move, you can move at the beginning of your turn to attack, or if you don't move, you could move after you attack. So, for example, I'm already in range. I don't have to move to attack somebody. After I attack, if I haven't moved, I could choose to move after that and go somewhere else. So that way, I can try to get in a more defensive position or go somewhere that doesn't have me with a low defense. Now, also, if you hit somebody, you can push them. So let's say I attack and I succeed. I actually hit them. I can say, "Oop, I'm moving into your spot," and then the other player has to choose somewhere else to go to. So if you really want to get where someone else is, you can push them out with a successful attack. But if you've moved before, by the time you get to the point of being able to use your after attack movement, if you've already moved by either moving at the very beginning or pushing someone, then you can't do the second move. So you have to keep that in mind. Forgot to add that, just wanted to mention that before we go back up. There is one quality note that I should put in here. Now, there's a misprint on these 2 sheets. you'll notice that Pytron shows that he has an upgrade once he gets hurt this much, but he has no upgrade slot. He only has power slots. So this, according to the errata, should actually be to draw a card. And there's another mode that I didn't talk about. There's a 2-player mode if you want to, where you can diminish the board size to just the 4 corner pieces, and then you'd flip yourself over to dual mode, which I've never tried myself, but it's something that you can do if you so choose. You'll have less health and fewer powers, and it's just kind of a quicker little 2-player version. But the misprint is also on these sides, because this says 1 power or 1 upgrade. Well, neither one of, and they both show that they don't have upgrades. So this should just be 1 power across the board for these 2 characters on their dual mode side. So I thought I should bring that to everyone's attention as well. Okay, so you can tell from everything that I just showed that the component quality is amazing. I mean, I really can't complain about anything. All of the miniatures are just so well done. They look great. They're big and very stylized in an awesome way, and they're all different. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting ideas that went into the design of each one of the models, and they're just, I don't know, this is amazing. I don't even know how to really say what I want to say. I just know that these are amazingly high quality, and this explains the high price point whenever it first came out. I mean, it's at least partly explains it. I mean, everything in here, the dice are amazingly good quality. I mean, you have all these dice, tons of these dice, and they're all very well engraved. The paint job is phenomenal, and every piece of this, even the little player sheets, they're sturdy and they're colorful and bright, and how could you complain? I mean, I don't know. So component quality is amazing. There's just no doubt about that. Absolutely amazing. That being said, let's go on to the strategy or replayability. Let's go replayability first. Replayability of this game, I would actually say, is pretty high. Anything with dice rolling like this where you're doing combat has a certain amount of replayability, just because there's that randomness. You don't know what's going to happen. But this has a little more, I think, than most, because here there's a push your luck aspect that's even more push your luck than most other dice games. You're choosing who you're going to fight, and that's important, although you have to alternate all the time, which is a good thing, helps balance things out. You can't pick on one person over and over again. But because you have to lock in your attack right off the bat after the first roll, that puts you in a very, very interesting position, because most of the time, whenever you roll, you're not going to have just an amazing roll. You're not going to roll 5 of a kind, hardly ever. You're not going to get 4 of a kind, hardly ever. And every now and then you might start off with a 3 of a kind. And every now and then you might start off with a full house. But generally speaking, you're going to have a kind of mediocre roll that's not just so great. And whenever you have to lock it in, you have to decide, hey, you know, should I go for something that's weak but it's going to give me some cards, or should I push for something more powerful to do bigger damage? And the push your luck aspect that really adds to the replayability to me is the fact that, you know, you're pushing for something big, but if you fail, you get hurt. And that is, to me, it's a mechanic that adds a lot to it, because every time you play, you're having to decide how much to push your luck. How far do I want to go? And I'm always excited to make that decision. That itself is something that is fun to think about and make your decision and find out if you win or fail. So replayability, just from that's huge. And then each character is different, has their own special abilities, and everything as they get damaged, how they get more powerful is different. So that adds even more replayability. So in my opinion, replayability is very high in this game. Now, as far as the strategy that's available in this game, obviously, I always want a game that gives me actual strategic choices or tactical choices. And this game, to me, gives me plenty. Even for a dice rolling game that has a lot of luck involved in what you do, you have a lot of choices. So you're able to decide, hey, you can choose how hard you want to push your luck. Do you want to go for the 5 of a kind to really try to blow someone away but take a big risk? Or do you want to go for something that's the sure thing and get some cards? Or almost sure thing, technically. You could even fail that. But the point is, that is a big part of the strategy or tactics, whatever you want to call it in this case. It's just, it makes it where you're constantly making tough decisions. But where you move also matters, because on the board you have all these different abilities that each space gives you. So you're thinking about, if I move here, I'll get this benefit. Let's say you go to the +2 attack and -2 defense. You might go there hoping to be able to do a lot of damage, and then attack someone and do big damage, and maybe you can move in. Maybe let's say you start there, you attack, you move, and you want to be able to move in. Well, you might not be able to move in because if you fail the attack, and that's the thing, that's where the push your luck thing comes in. If you're depending on pushing someone out of the way so you can move into their space, you have to decide, is it worth taking the risk of going for a big damage while you have the +2 attack or whatever, and then move in, or do you want to try to do the sure thing, do a little bit of damage just so you can move in where they are and get and maybe boost your defense on the next round? All those things matter so much, and it's just an exciting thing to try to make your plans and do the best you can, because the more players you have, the more they can push you around too. You might go to somewhere with good defense, but then maybe someone will push you the next turn into a place, and then you have to, you lose your defensive bonus. So that shuffling around of the board and moving people is another big, awesome thing, because each space gives you something amazing. You just have to decide where you want to be at the given time. All that, I think there's plenty of strategy in this game. That said, as far as my overall rating, I struggled with this, and there's a side of me, I'm hovering between two ratings. So this, I think, is going to be the first time maybe that I've ever given a 0.5, because I can't get myself honed in on one whole number. So I'm going to have to give this an 8.5. I mean, it's definitely recommended. I mean, it is such a good game, and it borderlines on just really amazing. And as I play it more, I might even decide it falls into one category or the other, but I can't figure out which category it goes in. The one thing I know is I'm really glad it's in my collection. It fits in a spot that, Ultimate Warriors is great. I enjoy it. I'm glad I have it in my collection. I'm glad I have this in my collection. They both feature dice rolling combat in an arena in ways that I like. I like them both a lot. So this, and again, the quality components in this game are so high, and the push your luck aspect is so good. It's so good. I mean, my son was playing, and he's sitting here wanting to go for 5 of a kind. Big risk, and you're sitting here trying to decide, is it really worth the risk? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And seeing other other players try to do that. They're trying to push their luck and try to do something bigger than maybe they should, and maybe it'll work, and it'll be a big moment. It creates this excitement, and you're even whenever you get hit, you're excited sometimes because of how cool it is that someone pulled off a really great move. And I don't know, it's just fun, and it's quick. That's the other thing. It's not long and drawn out. This is a pretty quick game, and as you get, and not only that, it's quick, but in that short amount of time that you're playing this game, you're getting powered up. You're getting hurt. Every time you get hurt, you're almost excited about it because you get something else that's going to help you. And as you get hurt, and on your player sheet, you start getting all these new bonuses and everything, you start thinking, whoa, now I can do X, Y, Z. And you can increase the chances of getting better rolls, like a 5 of a kind. Or maybe you'll draw more cards as you play. You'll start off maybe doing the low damage thing so you can get more cards, and then you use those cards to be able to help yourself either deflect damage to somebody else or make it to where that you can switch the dice in such a way that makes where you can really get awesome rolls. There's so much going on in this game that makes it to where it doesn't overstay its welcome. The entire time, things are changing. That's the thing. At first, you're all basically the same, and you're rolling your dice, except some people do more damage than others, but generally speaking, you're pretty much the same. You're rolling your dice, seeing what happens. But the farther you go in the game, the longer you're in it, the more it changes. You're getting more cards. Ooh, and your person's getting more powerful, getting new upgrades as you're getting close to dying. So even though there's player elimination, even once I was the first one to die the last time we played. I got obliterated pretty quickly, and my wife just absolutely slaughtered. Every time we tried to attack my wife, it never happened. We just couldn't do any damage for the longest time. But that was because we were pushing our luck, and that's exciting. It makes it interesting to see how whenever you make those choices, how it starts changing the environment of the game, and then everyone wants to gang up on that person to the best of their ability. They want to push harder, but sometimes that's not a good idea, because then you push yourself to try to get those good rolls, and you fail, and they still don't get hurt. So I just like it. I like the fact that you're constantly weighing your options and trying to decide, and because it changes as you play and you're getting more powerful, it's not like it's the same routine thing over and over and over again. As it goes along, you're getting better and better and better, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So 8.5 out of 10 for me. I know I droned on too long probably, but I just really like this game. So, that being said, I really hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. Let me know in the comments if you disagree or agree. If you have any questions, I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And I appreciate you for watching. Take care, everybody. Bye.